What the fuck?
Nick, come on, hurry!
I'm happy that Nic and Olandria got a second chance. They deserve a second chance, yes. I'm just a bit disappointed in Olandria in the sense that she's had multiple opportunities to explore connections, and every time she's rejected them because she's said, her cowboy, her cowboy, her cowboy. Her cowboy is more excited about Clark than he has been about her. He was more emotional about Taylor leaving than he's shown any emotion towards his partner. So the idea that she's doing all this for someone that we can all see is not 100% with her is heartbreaking for me. And then also, I was side-eyeing Olandria, no offense, but I felt it was not necessary the way she reacted to Zach at the end because, yes, Zach didn't tell her about the kiss, but she knew she didn't like that man romantically. She knew she was always going to go back to a cowboy. So the idea that he would ask her for a chat and she'd say, no, keep your words, she had more vim for him than the person she's been coupled up with for 4 weeks and hasn't treated her the best. I didn't like that. Anyway, hey there. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island USA, Season 7, Episode 20. So the the girls and the Casa boys are hanging out by the fire pit, and then you have Cierra be pulled away for a chat by Elon, and they were just getting to know one another. It seems he likes Libras. Well, people, their star signs must. He's dated mostly Libra ladies, and his mom is a Libra as well. And he said they really liked her. So Sierra was in his top picks with Iris, and Sierra said, "Well, that makes sense because the two of us have a lot of things in common, and so I get why we would be in your top two." Because it would be random if he said, his top two were like Shirley and Sierra, then it's like, what about them is similar? So the fact that he has a type and that's what he was sticking to, hey, to each their own. Do I think they make a cute couple? Yes, they do. But the problem is Sierra has been 100% for Nick. So unless she's feeling some type of way because of the fact that Nick was trying to sort of explore things with Andriana before they went on Casa, I think she will stay loyal. You have Iris go for a chat. Iris went for a chat with Zach with a C. Iris is very laid back. She's the Shay from the UK version, if you get what I mean, if you've watched the UK version, in the sense that she's very calm and very peaceful. And so at times people can find that boring. And sadly, with Zach, the two of them are going to be very boring. They did speak about what they like to do in their spare time. He lives with his brother at the moment. And so she is someone who loves family and likes to be around friends, and she normally is calling her friends to come over. And it's like, oh, there should be more to you than that, though. There should really be more to you than that. You have TJ Poole. I think it was Clark for a chat, and he really is trying to secure a connection with someone. And sadly, because of the comments he made during the game, the girls have been put off him, and the way he was scoring them, they have been put off by him. And it's going to be a struggle for him to be able to steal one of them. And the girls actually know that. So I don't know who's going to have the patience and the time to sort of allow themselves to sort of be stolen by him, but it's going to be hard work. It really is going to be hard work for him to win the girls over. The girls might end up just coupling up with him because they know he's single. And so even if people come back from Casa, there is a better chance of you staying in the villa, especially if Iris has found her person in Casa. You have had a go for a chat with JD. My problem with this is Hedda freaked out, or she had her breakdown on TV, and people saw that, and most probably the Casa people saw that, and so whoever picks her is going to pick her because they know she's single. She doesn't have any love interest, so their chances of staying in the villa are highly likely. The only problem is, are they going to be able to sort of put up with her if she has another crash out? That's the problem. They spoke about her having a child. She said, obviously, it's not a secret. You will know I do have a child. JD said he's dated someone with a child, so he's good with that. He doesn't care. And so I don't know whether he's being genuine or whether he just thinks this is my best opportunity to stay in the villa. That's my impression, because they did ask each other, have you crashed out? Have you crashed out? And still, my opinion is guys are never going to sort of give her a fair shot, given the fact that she had a crash out on TV. The islanders get ready for bed. You have the Casa girls talking about, TJ and the fact that you know, everybody knows that he tried to play them and now he's in trouble. And I don't know who's going to couple up with him. As I said before, you have the boys in as well in the villa sort of talking about their connections. Well, you have Jaden sort of talking about the fact that yes, she's in a couple with Austin. She had a conversation with Nick. It was very good, but she feels like Austin might be her person. And it's like that's because the security with Austin. Austin at the moment doesn't have any partner. He's already made it known that he's not feeling Amaya. So the chances are highly likely that you will get a chance to stay in the villa because Austin, I don't think, will go back to Amaya. The only reason he might go back to Amaya is because he doesn't want a negative edit, not because he really is smitten with her. I don't think so. And so it's going to be interesting to see who couples up with who. All the islanders get ready for bed. The boys are in bed. I was surprised that everybody climbed into bed, even Ace. I would have expected him to go and sleep on, soul ties, but hey, that was just an act for Amaya to prove a point. So in the morning, you have the Villa boys running around, chefing it, making breakfast. Ace was with Van, and I don't understand how he's suddenly making breakfast for Coco. Is it because Coco didn't step on his heart and now he's looking to sort of convince her to switch roles? And it's like, why? I thought Coco was with, what's his name? Was it Taylor? What is it? I don't get Ace. I think Ace likes the idea of the chase. He likes the girl that he can't get, and this is why he's going after Coco. It didn't make sense. The boys were in the kitchen. They were talking, Pepe, Taylor, and Ace, and they were saying it's a bit strange sleeping in a bed with a stranger, someone you don't know. And Taylor said, "Oh, I kept looking back because Taylor was in a bed with Coco, so that was a bit strange." All the girls got breakfast served for them, which was really cute, and they were all very appreciative and were saying, with these boys, you don't even need to ask. This was like, "Oh, that's amazing." In Casa, JD made breakfast for Huda, and they also made breakfast for Amaya, which was really sweet because she had no one. She's not in a couple, so she had no one to make her breakfast, and it's like, it's really sad, but hopefully she finds a person. So you have the Casa boys having a conversation. They're just debriefing about their night, and they're all teasing Brian because they're saying he really had a great night because he and Adriana they seemed very comfortable. I liked that he didn't brag about kissing her in that secluded place, which was good because it would have been uncomfortable had they gone and started kissing. You have, Amaya pulls JD for a chat, and sadly, Ace and Austin have broken Amaya. They really have. She comes across as one of the sweetest, most innocent people. And so the audacity and the idea that they were happy to break down someone just because that person didn't sort of dance to their tune doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Because even when she spoke to Zach with a K, she actually asked him, "What are your boundaries?" She sat there with JD. She was telling him, in my culture, this is normal, this is normal, this is normal. How do you feel about it? And it's like, please. And then she started crying, and he had to console her. And it's like, how would Austin and Ace feel if one of their sisters was treated the same way they're treating this girl? It's unacceptable. It really is unacceptable. Ace and thing, you need to go home. You had TJ pull Vanna for a chat, and he was really trying his best. He wants to stay in the villa. So they were talking about their families. He was asking, are your parents married? How? And she said they've been married for over 20 years. And they're in their 50s. He said, sadly, his dad was a bit older. So he was 13 years older, it seems, than his mom. And so he is trying to sort of fast pace a lot of things because he wants his dad to sort of witness and experience them before he passes on. And it's like, you can't live your life like that just because you're trying to impress your dad and you want to make sure that he doesn't miss out on any life events that might happen once he passes on, because we have no control over how long someone is on this planet for. It was really sad. I felt sorry. And then you had Ace pull Coco for a chat. I am side-eyeing Ace. We've all known this. Ace is not as into Shirley as he tries to play us and make it to seem. He seems like he is there for a good time. He seems like he's got a type of girl that he's looking for. And so until he finds that girl, he's going to continue to play with Shirley. He seemed very comfortable with Coco. He seemed very happy to be in this space with Coco. The problem with Coco is she's also coupled up with Taylor, so I don't know how that will play out long term, whether she will jump ship or whether she will stay with Taylor. You have Olandria sit down with Zach with a K, because Zach was telling the guys that, he didn't get a hug or a kiss, and he doesn't know. He thinks Olandria is one of those girls whereby you have to actually work hard to get that, and you have to wait quite a long time, because she told him that, with Taylor, they waited a week before they shared their first kiss. And it's like somebody needs to tell her Taylor wasn't feeling it. That's why they waited a week. Had he been feeling her, it would have happened sooner. We also how excited he was in the kissing challenge when he didn't know who was kissing him. So it's sad that she thinks she's got this man that she really likes, and he's everything to her, and we all can see that this man is playing with her. You have Taylor sitting and chatting. And for me, this is where my problem comes in with Olandria. So for Olandria, I feel sorry for her, because Olandria is really thinking that she's insecure with her man. She misses a man. She misses a man. And her man seems to be smitten by Clark. You even had Nic and Ace watching him and saying, we've never seen him smile so much, especially on the first day of meeting someone. We also how he was with Olandria. And sadly, I don't think Nic is in on the secret that as much as he's enjoying his time with Olandria, he doesn't feel her romantically. And so I don't know how everyone is going to feel when they find out that he was actually playing with Olandria, because the way he was giddy, the way he was excited, they spoke about everything and anything under the sun. She was, complaining about flying bugs, mosquitoes, and stuff, and he tried to catch them. And he was the sweetest to her ever, and he kept maintaining eye contact. And even the boys had to acknowledge that he's smitten and he's behaving totally different to the way he would behave with Olandria. And then Ace posed a question that when you look at Olandria and when you look at Clark, who do you think is better for him? And it seems they're saying that Olandria is a bit too intense for him, and it seems Clark is more laid back. So the guys think that Clark would be better with him than with Olandria. And sadly, Clark at the moment is coupled up with Nic. So for Nic to say that, it says a lot. It says a lot. The guys must be seeing something that we, the viewers, haven't seen. And I feel sorry for Olandria, because she's losing an opportunity to get to know someone. So you had Austin go for a chat with Jaden. That was the most awkward thing ever, because yes, there was a helicopter flying above them, but the fact that he was going on about the helicopter, they spoke about superpowers. I personally don't see anything entertaining about Austin. I would have preferred Charlie stays in the villa than Austin, because Austin hasn't really given us anything apart from moaning that he was in a love triangle, and then moaning about his partner. And now we see him, he's got no game apart from his body. I don't know exactly what girls like about him. You have the girls, you have Olandria, Huda, and Cierra sat together, and they're sort of worried about Amaya, because they're saying that with Amaya, they're worried that she is not getting pulled by the guys, and the guys that she's talking to, they're not sure whether they really like her. So they're worried that what if one of them doesn't pick her? But then the concern becomes, if she's picked by one of them, that means that either Olandria or Huda could be going home. So they're in this no man's land. They spoke about their pairings in the villa. You had, Cierra complimenting Olandria, saying, you are allowing me to step out of my shell. Olandria was well, she didn't complain, but she sort of brought up the fact that Zach with a K had asked for a kiss, and she had told him, well, I'm not going to push anything and behave in any way that's different from what I would do if I were outside of the villa. And so I don't think whether he had asked for a kiss or not, he still didn't stand a chance with her, because Olandria is set on Taylor. You then have the Islanders. Well, Brian receives a text message that reads, Islanders, tonight there'll be a recoupling at the Villa and Casa Amor. And we all knew it was coming. A second message comes in which says, anyone not chosen to be in a couple will be single and vulnerable. And we all know what that means. That means someone will be going home. So you have Maya pull Zach with a K to the circle I'll call it the soul circle. I don't know what they call it. Anyway, and they sit down for a conversation. Amaya is very delicate at the moment. We all think Huda was broken, but Amaya was also broken by the guys, and sadly, because hers wasn't as visible, that many people didn't see it. All the name calling and the fact that Ace jumped out of bed with her to sleep in soul ties for days on end because he said she was that, he couldn't stand to be around her. Those are things that really devastated her. So she's looking for someone who's going to nurture her like a bird with a broken wing and actually bring her back to life. She asked for a kiss. She got a second kiss, and it's like, Amaya, Amaya, Amaya. Please don't do that. I worry that this guy is just saying and doing anything he feels he needs to say in order for her to sort of agree to couple up with him. But at the same time, he's from Manchester. In the UK, darling, love, sweet, don't mean anything, really. They don't, well, people can say to a stranger, and so, hi, my love, how are you, darling? It's not something that someone would assume, oh, that means we're in a romantic setting. So I think this is why to him he's not easily triggered by that. And I hope he gives her a chance. I really do. You have Taylor and Coco go for a chat. Apparently, they haven't had a chat. Coco acknowledges that, she is friends with Clark, and so she's happy, either way, whoever he chooses to pick. And it's like, I feel like Coco would prefer to go to Ace than she would with Taylor. Whatever Taylor said put her off, and whether it's because she worries that he might go back to Olandria, this is why she's decided to sort of keep it stepping. I don't know. But at the moment, well, they did speak, but nothing stood out. I think he was more giddy and excited about his coupling with or his conversation with Clark than he was with Coco. Because Coco sadly keeps asking her, how is your couple with Alandria? How are things going? How do you feel our connection is compared to that? And he is very vague because he knows for a fact that there is nothing there. And so he can't tell the girls that there's nothing there with Alandria because he knows there's a possibility Olandria might see the tape and so he will be vulnerable. This is the impression that I get because otherwise there's no other reason why he can't be talking to his current partner about his ex-partner and just telling them how he feels. You have Nick have a conversation with Jaden. I think apparently Nick is a model. I don't remember hearing that when he walked in, but he seems smitten or he seems more attracted to Jaden than he is to any of the other girls, as he says. They had a really cute conversation. He showed her a couple of his tattoos, but it wasn't anything provocative, anything that you would say would upset Sierra when she hears about it. Sadly, Sierra was crying to the girls that she really misses Nick, she really misses her connection. Yes, she's enjoying getting to know her current partner, but the problem is she's had more time with Nick, so this is why she feels the way she does about Nick. Sierra has always been about Nick from the first time she coupled up with him, and she forgave him for kissing Bella. And so the idea that her head will be turned is highly unlikely. The boys that are sort of messing about her, not working on someone who's single like Amaya, are going to regret that because if you couple up with Taylor, because if you couple up with Sierra, there is an 80-90% possibility that you could go home because she will always go back to Nick. It seems she will always choose Nick because for her, her connection with Nick far surpasses anything she's built with anybody else in the villa, which is really sad for the, Casa boys because what happens to them? So you have the islanders getting ready for the night. Obviously, everyone is anxious about who they're going to couple up with because there is this spin that there is a recoupling, and I don't think everybody knows how the recoupling is going to take place. Whether it's just TJ and Amaya who are going to look for someone to couple up with, or whether it's everybody's going to have to swap partners. Anyway, once the islanders are ready, they come downstairs for their drink, and then you have Shirley and Olandria go for a chat. And Shirley is saying she's sort of conflicted because she really has an amazing connection with Chris, such that if he had walked in on day one, they would have been locked in to the end by now. And so she doesn't know what to do because, yes, she's got a connection with Ace, but she's also got a connection with Chris, and it seems they're sort of on par. I feel like Chris is her person. I feel like Ace is a representative of Chris. That's, if you get what I mean, that Ace is pretending to be the guy that Shirley needs, and Chris is actually the guy that Shirley needs. And so, if I were her, if I were advising her, I would encourage her to sort of stay with that person. You have Zach with a K, have a conversation. with JD, and he's sort of telling him that he shared a kiss with Amaya, and so he feels like his connection is stronger there because he was able to be more intimate with Amaya than he was with Olandria. Amaya then pulls Olandria for a chat and explains to her what happened, that she did have great chats with Zach with a K, and she's actually shared a kiss with him. So she wanted Olandria to know, because she feels very anxious if she doesn't tell her, which was very good that she told her. I don't know whether it was because they had agreed not to tell anyone, or whether production had said you can't tell anyone until we are ready for you to tell them that you shared a kiss, because that can happen too on Love Island. So anything is possible. You have the guys, you have Ace, Taylor, and Nick having a conversation about Coco and Clark, sort of trying to understand who is coupled up with whom, or who is more interested in the other. Because sadly for Nick, though he's coupled up with Clark has spent more time with Taylor than she spent with him, and she seems to be more interested in him. And this is why you had Nick sort of trying to explore things with Jaden. Jaden, on her part, is saying she's conflicted between Austin and Nick, but I would be conflicted. I would lean more towards Austin, not because he's the better of the two, because of the fact that Nick has a great connection with Cierra. So chances are, if Cierra comes back, Nick would go back to Cierra, and then that would leave you vulnerable because you don't have your person there. So it makes sense that she would be that conflicted. Anyway, you have final chat. So Ace goes for a chat with Coco. They seem to be getting along very well. They're very chatty. She's very giddy. He's very giddy. He seems more attentive to her than he was to Shirley. I know I sound like an old broken record, but I feel like he's just using Shirley to stay in the villa. And because they're friends, they're always going to keep each other safe until their person comes in. You have Clark in soul ties with Taylor. Taylor is more giddy, more excited about being with Clark than he is about being with Olandria. And Olandria is busy singing "My Cowboy, My Cowboy, My Cowboy," and it's like, your cowboy, yes, but your cowboy is not feeling you as much as you're feeling him. Nick has a final chat with Jada. And still, there is that conflict in regards which is a better option for her. Is it Austin or is it Nick? Is it Austin or is it Nick? So it's up to her what she decides that she wants to do with those two guys. Anyway, the islanders receive a text message to gather around the fire pit. Everybody goes to the fire pit, and now it's anxiety time. First, we start with Casa. So in Casa, they got Amaya to stand at the front of the fire pit, and then a message came out that if any of the guys has a stronger connection with Amaya, stand up. And you had Zach with a K stand up. So he then got to recouple with Amaya, and Olandria had to stand at the front of the fire pit. The sad bit for Olandria is she started talking about her cowboy and saying, "Oh, tell my cowboy I miss him and I'll see him. We'll find each other. We'll this, that, and that." And so no one was going to risk that, because if someone is already telling you that if you're standing up for me, it's only temporary until we go back into the main villa, then you're done. So the boys were asked, "Is anyone going to stand for her?" And nobody stood up for her, because she shut that door by thinking, she's going home and she's advocating for a cowboy, for people to tell a cowboy that she still loves him. And she shut that door, so everybody was just staring at her and waiting for her to go home. The girls were devastated. Olandra is an amazing girl. My thing is, I don't get how we see that Taylor is not coming across okay, as in caring towards her, than she who is in the villa with him. Because even the friends are saying that his connection with, Clark is way different and it's way better than his connection with Olandria. So I don't get what Olandria doesn't see that we all see. Anyway, the girl starts crying. She packs her bags and then she goes to leave, because she says she doesn't want to cry because she's always had to be the strong one. So she doesn't want to break down now. So she tried her best not to cry and really hold herself together, which is amazing for her. And I had a lot of respect for her, but I just didn't like the comment that she made. Yes, Zach with a K didn't tell her about the case, but the fact that he asked her to have a chat for a few seconds and she refused, that wasn't good. That wasn't a good look, because how can she be more upset with him than the person she's in a couple with, who is not treating her the way she deserves to be treated? Taylor has treated her badly, and we haven't seen as much vim as she showed to Zach. He's within his own right to do what's in his best interest. At the end of the day, she didn't want him, so the idea that she behaved like that, I didn't like that. I really didn't like that. I thought it was a bit distasteful, but that's just my opinion. We go back to the main villa. So in the main villa, the message comes for TJ to stand at the fire pit. TJ stands at the fire pit, and then the girls are given an option to stand up and couple up with him. And you have Vanna stand up. She was coupled with Ace, so she stood up and coupled up with TJ. And then Ace stood at the fire pit, and they asked, "Is anyone wanting to couple up with Ace?" You had Coco stand up for Ace, so which meant that Ace was now coupled up with Coco. And then you had, Taylor stand up. Taylor, they asked, "Does anyone want to stand up for Taylor?" And poor Nick said to Clark, "Oh, please don't leave me, don't leave me." He knew Clark was going. So Clark stood up and was coupled up with Taylor, which left Nick vulnerable. And sadly, the only option Nick had was Austin's partner. So he had been having chats with Jaden, but Jaden didn't stand up. I think she thought just the same way the other guys thought in Casa is, if I stand up for him, I'm only saving him for Cierra. I'm not saving him for myself. So what's the point? Which makes sense. Which makes sense that what's the point of standing up for someone who's going to dump you the moment they're back with their partner? So it was really sad to see them cry. Part of me thinks production did this because fans have been asking for Olandria and Nick. So I don't know whether Nick they decided to sort of save them so that they could give them a chance to explore connection or what happened there. I don't know. Anyway, so Nick packed his bags. The guys were crying. Taylor was devastated. For someone who says he was Nick's best friend, I didn't really see that much sort of emotion from Ace. I didn't. I saw more emotion from Taylor. Taylor showed more emotion for, Nick going home than he has for his partner that he's been coupled up with for 4 weeks. So I don't quite get it. I really don't get it. The little spin at the end was really cute. I assume what they're going to do is they're going to put them up somewhere, whether in a separate villa, and get them to watch their partners and see what is going on with their partners now that they've left. And hopefully, this is an eye opener for Olandria. I know Olandria said she's been single for 5 years, but Taylor ain't it. She deserves better than Taylor. So hopefully her chance to watch him and see him in action will open her eyes and allow her to see that she deserves better. I can't wait for Thursday. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 19. Bye guys.